Hitler Has Only Got One Ball is a World War II British song that mocks Nazi leaders using blue comedy in reference to their testicles. Multiple variants of the lyrics exist, generally sung as four-line verses to the tune of the Colonel Bogey March. In his autobiography Fringe Benefits, writer Donogh O'Brien says his father, Toby O'Brien, wrote the original in August 1939 as British propaganda. Toby O'Brien was a publicist for the British Council at the time. This version started with the words "Göring has only got one ball," a reference to Göring's grievous groin wound suffered during the Beer Hall Putsch, and went on to imply that Hitler had two small ones. In virtually all later versions, the positions are reversed. The statement that Himmler has something similar appears in all versions. The final line of this original and some later forms ends with the wordplay that Goebbels had no balls. Both these variations argue strongly in favor of O'Brien's versions being a very early version, and a Daily Mail report of the time states that it was attributed to someone not unconnected with our old friend the British Council. O'Brien's claims have not been substantiated, and no author has ever been identified for the more popular versions that begin "Hitler has only got one ball." Hubert Gregg also claimed to have written the lyrics, which he said he sent anonymously to the British War Office. There is no known attempt by anyone to claim or enforce a copyright on the lyrics. It is listed in the Raud Folk Song Index, number 10493. The numerous versions, including the frankly obscene, reflect the enthusiasm with which it was first adopted as a British Army marching song, then as a popular song of defiance against Adolf Hitler's Nazi German regime and the other branches of the British Armed Forces, and amongst British civilians, from 1940 onwards. In the words of Greg Kelly, as a means of ridiculing the Nazis, Hitler Has Only Got One Ball became immensely popular among Allied troops, who in transmitting this song were exercising something of a wartime convention by demeaning the sexual faculties of enemy leaders. But the mockery extended beyond just the Nazis' sexual capacities. Since the 1920s, the words balls or balls had come to denote notions of courage, nerve, or fortitude. In that sense, defective testicles rendered the Nazis defective soldiers. This song's itemized taxonomy of malformed German genitalia, the monorchid, the microorchid, the anorchid, was particularly forceful and satisfying to Allied soldiers in that it scattered satiric buckshot across the whole Nazi high command. Hitler, Hermann Göring, Commander-in-Chief of the Luftwaffe, Heinrich Himmler, Reichsfuhrer of the SS, and Goebbels, Reich Minister of Propaganda. It has been suggested that the pre-Glasnost Soviet descriptions of what remained of Hitler's corpse reported his monarchism, having only one functional testicle, at the suggestion of Guy Burgess and Orkin Philby, as part of their making a joke, based on this song, that they could expect the British population and secret services, if not those of the US or USSR, would get. A book published in 2015 asserts, on evidence from an enforced medical examination Hitler underwent in 1923, that he in fact had unilateral cryptorchism, that is, he suffered from an undescended right testicle. The book also suggests he had hypospadias or micropenis brought about by low testosterone levels during gestation. Whatever the reason for Hitler's alleged monarchism becoming a popular myth, there was psychodynamic literature, produced outside the USSR after World War II, which sought to explain his personality and behavior, as a charismatic, genocidal megalomaniac, which drew on his alleged congenital semi-castration and or the child-rearing practices of his family. Introductory verse, infrequently. An introductory verse is used, set to the tune of Land of Hope and Glory. All versions are sung to the tune of the Colonel Bogey March. O'Brien's version of the song runs. Popular alterations have been made to the lines in this version, most of them apparently for the purpose of better fitting the Colonel Bogey rhythm. A common version swaps the names in the first two lines and improves the scansion of the final line. Outside the United Kingdom, the second line is often sung as the other is on the kitchen wall or in other locations such as the Taj Mahal. Some areas of the UK alter the second line from the Albert Hall to feature local buildings. Where Australian troops had served in North Africa, Rommel took the place of Göring in the second line. One variant reflects the respect in which Rommel was held by British soldiers during the war, describing him as having 4 or 5 balls. A common additional or third verses also contains lyrics that contain events that happen after the testicle has been cut off. Discrediting tactics.